Sure, Mataji. I'll do that.
Okay, verse number 8. Thank you. Evam yoni gato jiva so nitya nirahankritah yavad yatropalabhyeta tavad swatvam hitasya tat. Okay, if anyone wants to read the verse, you can raise your hand, please. Go ahead, Mataji. Madhumay Krishna Khan Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams Mataji.
Mhm.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam yonigato jivaha sanityo nirahankrutaha yavadyatropalabhyeta tavat swatvam hi tasya tat. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna. Madhumati Vilasni Mataji, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी, दंडवत प्रणाम। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। एवं योनिगतो जीवः स नित्यो निरहङ्कृतः यावद्यत्रोपलभ्येत तावत् स्वत्वं हि तस्य तत्। थैंक यू माताजी। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Pranandini Madhvi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी, प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। एवं योनिगतो जीवः स नित्यो निरहङ्कृतः यावत् यत्र पलभ्येत तस्य सत्तत हि सत्तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण माताजी। थैंक यू माताजी।
Okay, Surya Prakash Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Surya Prakash
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare
No, it was
Krishna.
not unmuted. That's why I'm waiting. Hare Krishna. Janvat pranams Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam yonigato jivaha sanityo nirankrutaha yavat tatra upalabhyata tavat swatvam hi tasya tat. Hare Krishna. Dhanyawad.
Thank you. Chitramohini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी, प्रणाम्स माताजी। ओम
Present.
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। एवं योनिगतो जीवः सा नित्यो निरहङ्कृतः यावादत् उपलभ्येत तावत् सत्वं हि तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण माताजी। थैंक यू माताजी। हरे कृष्ण।
Shubhara Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
दंडवत प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। एवं योनिगतो जीवः स नित्यो निरहङ्कृतः यावत्यत्रोपलभ्येत तावत् स्वत्वं हि तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. Usha Devati Mataji, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी, प्रणाम माताजी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। एवं योनिगतो जीव सा नित्यो निरङ्कृतः यावत् यत्रो बलप्येत तावत् स्वातं हि तस्य तत्। थैंक यू माताजी। हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
Krishna. Prem Prakash Adas Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. एवं योनिगतो जीवः सन्नित्यो निरहकृत यावद्यत्रोपलभ्येत तावत् सत्त्वं हि तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण माताजी।
Thank you, Krishna. Revati Ratnangi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams Mataji. Are you feeling better now?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam yogini gota jiva hai sanityo nirahankritaha yavadatro parabhete tavate swatam hitasya tataha. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Uma Kulkarni Mataji, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। एवं योनिगतो जीवा स नित्यान्निरङ्कृतः यावद्यत्रोपलभ्येत तावत् स्वत्वं हि तस्य तत्। हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
Thank you. Evam does yonigataha, being within a specific species of life. Jivaha, the living entity. Saha, he. Nityaha, eternal. nirahankritaha, without identification with the body, yavat, as long as, yatra, where, upalabhyeta, he may be found, tavat, that long, swatvam, the concept of self, he indeed, tasya, of him, that's that. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Even though one living entity becomes connected with another because of a relationship based on bodies that are perishable, the living entity is eternal. Actually, it is the body that is born or lost, not the living entity. One should not accept that the living entity takes birth or dies. The living being actually has, like Krishna, no relationship with the so-called fathers and mothers. As long as he appears as the son of a certain father and mother as a result of his past fruitive activities, he has a connection with the body given by that father and mother. Thus, he falsely accepts himself as their son and acts affectionately. After he dies, however, the relationship is finished. Under these circumstances, one should not be falsely involved with jubilation and lamentation. Purport by Shabbat ki jai. When a living entity lives within the material body, he falsely thinks himself that he is the body, although actually he is not. His relationship with his body and his so-called father and mother are false, illusory conceptions. These illusions continue as long as one is not enlightened about the situation of the living entity. Illusory conceptions. Om Agyan Tivirandasya Gyan Anjan Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadartikam. Hare Krishna Karno Sindhu Deenbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastute Dakta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishpanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे हरे नमाम विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी विचारिणे निर्विशेषवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे. Even though one living entity becomes connected with another because of a relationship based on bodies that are perishable, the living entity is eternal. Although it is a body that is born or lost, not the living entity. One should not accept that the living entity takes birth or dies. The living being actually has a relationship with the so-called fathers and mothers. As long as he appears as the son of a certain father and mother as a result of his past fruitive activities, he has a connection with the body given by that father and mother. Thus, he falsely accepts himself as their son and acts affectionately. After he dies, however, the relationship is finished. Under these circumstances, one should not be falsely involved with jubilation and lamentation. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 6th canto, which is called as the prescribed duties of the mankind, chapter number 16, which is called as Chittaketu meets the
Meets the Supreme Lord.
Hare Krishna, sorry. Yes. Who is speaking this verse? Who is speaking this verse to who?
The Jiva. The Jiva is speaking.
Yeah,
the
the boy.
son.
Who is he speaking to?
The son is speaking to the father.
Yes,
Narada.
Narad, Buddhi, and Father. Everyone over there is hearing whatever he's speaking. So, what was the question by Narad Muni to this Jiva? What is he speaking? What is he replying to? Or this boy? What is he replying to? What was the question?
Hare Krishna
Why is he
Mataji.
speaking?
He says,
Krishna.
The living entity can come to his body again and live the remaining life with opulences, accepting the opulences of his father, mother. So Narad Muni has given the chance again. Hare Krishna.
So he's saying which father and mother, right? Which father and mother are you talking about? Because I had father and mother in every life, wherever I went. And then he goes on to explain that the relationship is based on the skin disease, right? The skin is appearing like another person, so there is a relationship. Okay, these are very these instructions can be understood as very literal as they're said, or they can be understood in a way that can enhance our Krishna consciousness. If we literally take it, it may actually be mistakenly taken as being a sign of being frustrated by material life. Okay, so there's a caveat there. That's why I'm bringing it up. That this is a very frustrating life because actually I'm not related to anybody. There is no father, there's no mother, there's no relation. It's just based on the body, but I'm not the body. So one can understand or misunderstand this to be as it is a speech resulting from the platform of being frustrated. But actually, the real way, because Sukdev Goswami will not put it in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada will not take the effort to give it to us if it is not going to enrich our Krishna consciousness. So how do we understand this in relationship with our enhancing our Krishna consciousness or by practice of devotional service? That is the main agenda, okay, of reading this particular verse with that with that mindset. So in Krishna consciousness, we are constantly trying to increase our attachment to Krishna, but we are also trying to do what? Do anartha nivritti. We are also trying to get rid of the consciously. We are not trying to put ourselves in circumstances which will bind us more and more consciously. Now, how much will one be successful and how much will one not be successful in that attempt is dependent on many factors. And one of the major factors is that um, how much how much am I desiring to be Krishna conscious? Okay, if somebody is 10% Krishna conscious, then their desire to become Krishna conscious is so strong. This Rupa Goswami says that, right? Prabhupada. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada says that Tatra Lalyam Ekamulyam, your intense greed to become Krishna conscious is the price you pay to become Krishna conscious. Okay, now this particular verse is a kind of warning for a devotee who is trying to progress in Krishna consciousness to not put oneself deliberately in a position which will prove not to be so fruitful for progressing in bhakti. Okay, so if this relationship was going to enhance the Krishna consciousness, for example, if this was not Chitraketu or Kritadyuti, if it was the spiritual master, then the conversation would have taken a different route. But because this is the relationship where the path of bhakti will be prohibited, so we are being given this to think in a different manner. And this is for each one of us to think in our lives that what kind of attachments am I carrying on, which are pushing my chanting back. If something happens, then do I become more attached to my chanting, or do I become more attached to that what is going to happen next? What is going to happen next? Like, for example, like my son banged into somebody's car yesterday in our neighborhood. So it's like immediately I was like, oh my God, like how do I take care of this? And then suddenly Prabhupada's writing, explains that how a living entity, even though eternal and has nothing to do with the material life, but because of the mind, becomes so entangled in the complexities. And then he gives example, this exact example, if there is an accident of the car, then car is separate and living entity is separate. But because of the attachment, because of the position of the mind, the living entity suffers. So I thought of that. I'm like, oh, so okay, so I'm just gonna become detached because Prabhupada has said that. So, and you might have more examples from your own life to share that how Prabhupada's writings have actually given us a different vision of the situation that we are placed in. So similarly, we can, look at all the relationships around us. And we can rate that, okay, is this relationship helping me to progress in bhakti or not? And then we can decide that what to do about it. A person who is not trying to progress in Krishna consciousness feels very bound. But Krishna consciousness is, what is that? Regulative principles of freedom, right? Bhagavad Gita says that regulative principles of freedom. So the regulative principles are not there to bind us. The regulative principles are there to free us. So if we read this, that he's saying that a living entity becomes connected to another living entity because of the relationship which is based on body, and the body is perishable. Okay, so if I look at that, okay, that what does it mean? What does it mean that I actually become I actually become aloof from the entire world and have no relationships? Does it mean that I'm just gonna go sit on Radha Kund and I'm gonna chant Hare Krishna and I have nothing to do with anyone because I'm not the body, I'm the soul? Is that what it means?
Oh, no, Mataji.
Then what does it mean?
We should think that our relationship is based on Krishna. Because
Mataji, what are?
Krishna has given us these relationships. Only because, not that only because of bodily relationship, but about the eternal relationships. And because we have to do our prescribed duties, because Krishna has given us these relationships. And on that we have to...
You're saying Krishna, but here the verse is saying, as long as he appears as a son of a certain father and mother as a result of his past activities, he has a connection with the body given by that father and mother. Did Krishna want to give us these relationships? No. We wanted it, so he arranged for it. As I discussed in the previous verse, that a devotee, a pure devotee, we have examples from the Shastras, are not trying to adjust their material situation. They're not. I'm not saying that I'm a pure devotee. I'm constantly trying to adjust my material condition. But a pure devotee is not. Prahlad Maharaj is not saying, Krishna, please save me from this onslaughts of terror of my father. He is not saying. Pandavas are not saying that Krishna bring us out of this exile. Amrish Maharaj is not saying that Durvasa Muni, Krishna save me from this injustice of Durvasa Muni. So what are they doing? They're developing more and more acceptance. So my question to the assembly here is that, based on this verse, what do we do with the relationships that we have, or we want to maybe make more in our lives? What do we do? Do we become detached? Do we become attached? Do we become neutral? Or do we run away and just sit in the Nidhivan in Vrindavan and chant Hare Krishna? What do you do? What do we do based on this? You can raise your hand and I can request you to unmute.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
And do it in a way that will increase our Krishna consciousness. Yes, Prabhu.
Mataji, as long as we live in this material world, so this relationship with the body continues, father, mother, sister, brother, etc., friends. But we also know the jiva inside will not have this relationship. Jiva is eternal. This recollects the sloka in second chapter, Mataji, 2.20. Na jayate mite na kadachin nayam bhavita bhutva va bhuyaha. Ajo nityam sasvitayam purana nama hinate hanyamana sarire. Jiva is eternal. Jiva is not born or will be born or future. That we all know that. So, yeah, since we are living in this material world, that we should have the relations will continue till our death. So, in this body is given by the Krishna. So, we have to realize that although we have these relations of material temporary one, our eternal relationship is with the God. That we have to realize and proceed with the Krishna consciousness. So
Thank
that's
you.
my
Very
feeling,
nice.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Krishna. Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji, Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, we should be in the neutralized mode, Mataji. We should go acceptance. That is the only thing we can cultivate, Mataji. But it will not come in the very initial phase wherein we always have the expectations only towards the favorable situations. So we need to cultivate that habit, Mataji. So it should be in the neutralized mode.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Prem Prakash Hadas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
As they say that you should be samadrasta when you hold your hands to any person, you are holding that hand not to the body, but the Paramatma or the super soul and the soul that are existing in that body. That kind of a relationship you have to develop. Your relation should be based on the soul and the super soul rather than based on the body.
Based on the soul and super soul and based on body. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? You see, we look at Prabhupada's life. When Prabhupada was trying to expand ISKCON across the world, he was getting his disciples married. And he was telling what to name their children, and then he was also opening Gurukul for the children who are born from those marriages. So we can say that, if the relationship is based on the bodily concept and the bodily concept is perishable, then there is no need for being jubilant or lamenting for anything. Okay, but that's not what Acharya is teaching us from their live example. So what do? It's a open-ended question for each one of us to address according to our ability and position in life. But what can we do? Like principle-based answer, principle detail will be different. Principle-based answer is that regularly do a Krishna conscious check. I say like a Krishna conscious check. You know how when you take your car to the service, they they do the all 100-point check, like your brakes are working, the tread count of the tire, the fluid levels in the engine, all that thing. So it's like in every relationship that you are making, maybe we can have some checkpoints. That is it making me more Krishna conscious? Is this association is giving me time and actually enriching my Krishna consciousness, or is it draining me? So that's a big, and we will know because Krishna gives intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. So we will know from the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the heart that is going to be there. So that I'm also learning that rather than getting frustrated and rather than getting taking this verse as like a falgu vairagya or a detachment which is not real, we can actually make it as a Krishna conscious checkpoint. Okay, because you see, in Chaitanya Chaitamrita, we read that the devotees are very attached to each other. They're very, very attached to each other. They actually cannot live without each other. And they're eating so nice prasadam. Like Chaitanya Chaitamrita is filled with so much menu. I don't see that in Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, do you read about menus in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita? How much food is mentioned in Chaitanya Chaitamrita? How many tastes? How many relationships? Yes, you've seen that?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes.
So, is it the reality is that we don't want to become detached from a false platform because it's not going to make the heart happy. The heart will be happy if it is going towards Krishna, if it is becoming more and more open to put Krishna there. And how do we do that? So we are in a situation in our lives because of our own fruitive activity. Each one of us. Somebody is higher, somebody is lower, somebody is whatever, what part of the world, what kind of house. Everything is predestined, fruitive activity. So if it is not amiable to one's Krishna consciousness, then try to change it. And same applies for the relationship. So when we read Prabhupada's purport together again, so when the living entity lives within the material body, he falsely thinks himself that he's the body, although actually he is not. So says we have to just change this conception. His relationship with his body and his so-called father and mother are also false, illusory conceptions. Illusion means I think it is there, but actually it is not there. And it is a conception, it is not a reality. Which means I am actually thinking it is there, but actually it is not there. These illusions continue as long as one is not enlightened about the situation of the living entity. So there is the answer that for how long will I be like that? You know, the whole world is going on like that, right? Based on the nationality, based on um, it gets more and more complex based on the caste, based on the language, based on the education. One of my friends said many years ago, she said, we go out in the community and we see that there are so many people are trying to cohort with each other. Like there is this uh, teens moms club, or there's like a toddler moms club, for example. She was giving example like that. So it's like it's not just like a general moms club, but then we want to actually make it more and more refined based on our conceptions. Okay, and what are we actually trying to do by making all these things? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to do? Actually, it says, okay, we are trying to find friendship, we're trying to find association in the material world, we're trying to socialize. But actually, Bhagavad Gita answers, Prakriti sthani karshati. We are fighting in this material world. We are fighting every moment. So we are trying to actually find some solace in that struggle for existence. But that is not going to be helpful because as long as one is not enlightened about the situation of the living entity. So it is my request that we must spend time in reading Prabhupada books. Chanting will enhance if we are regularly reading Prabhupada books. I was hearing Prabhupada was saying read Srimad Bhagavatam, because Srimad Bhagavatam has a potency to remove these illusions, lamentations, and grief from the heart of a conditioned soul. So read Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, take the time out every day, and don't let the time go or day go without associating with Sri Prabhupada's books. We may say that I don't have time, but time is also subservient to Krishna. If I'm going to make an attempt to become Krishna conscious, Krishna will give time. That's called faith. He will give time, he will give intelligence, he will give resources as long as I want to do it. Okay, I think I'll stop here. Any questions, reflections, realizations, corrections? Don't take this verse as a verse which will give us the hint to become detached prematurely.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
One question from Mataji may look silly. How regulation and freedom can be together?
Because we are bound, no, we are actually being danced by three modes of material nature. Prabhupada explains this in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Three regulative principles of freedom. So if we are trying to get ourselves cut from the three modes of material nature, then this is the way out. Okay, they are going to free us from this material bondage. These regulative principles. No meat eating, no illicit relationships, no gambling, and no intoxication. So if we do that, then we are able to feel free from the three modes. If we don't do that, then we are going to be bound, shackled. Prabhupada uses it chained, shackled, bound by the three modes of material nature. It's a big topic in itself, but this is the zest.
That
Shubha,
means
Prabhu?
the regulation is by principles than by three modes. Otherwise, you are regulated by three modes.
Otherwise, you are bound by three modes, not regulated. There is no regulation in three modes. You are bound. Like regulation to me, maybe we are understanding the word different, is that I am actually regulated in my activity to achieve a goal. But the three modes of material nature keep us in this Brahma Bhuvanar Loka Punararvita Arjuna, like go up, go down, go up, go down, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes like a madman, right? Sometimes this, sometimes that. Where is the regulation there? What goal are we trying to achieve? It can be just a difference of understanding of the word, but you might be right in your own way, as long as you understand.
But
Yes,
Mataji,
yes.
Mana,
Yes, Mata.
Mamaivanso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana Manasistani Indriyani Prekristani Karshate. As long as in the material world, we are struggling, na?
Yeah. That's why we have to follow the regulated principles of freedom. So we are not in Prakriti Sthani. Madhumati Vilasni Mataji, you can unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. I have question from verse 6, Mataji. I'm little confused. I don't know this question is right or wrong. Mataji, under this acceptance and surrender, like we discussed, no devotee wants to change their position or condition. We
Pure
took
devotee. No pure
yeah,
devotee.
pure devotee, and like we took example of Prabhupada and Srila Rupa Goswami Mataji, but they changed their condition, Mataji. Before they were like they changed their condition in hard way, like from grihastha to sannyasi, and like Prabhupada left everything, and Sri Rupa Goswami also left everything and just went, Mataji. So being grihastha, I'm like little confused, like it is only for a spiritual way, or like how, like we are also trying our best like in our condition, Mataji. So that change, in what way we can take, Mataji?
Nataji, I don't know if I'm clear with your question. Are you saying I said that the no pure devotee is trying to adjust their material situation? But are you saying, what is your question?
Mataji, they like if we take example of Prabhupada, Mataji. So he changed his previous condition and he took his spirituality, Mataji.
Yes.
So there was a change, Mataji. So
Yes.
he did not continue in the same condition, Mataji. He just
So I'm gonna again say what I said. So no pure devotee, from what we understand from the Shastras, is trying to adjust their material condition.
okay.
An example I gave was like Prahlad Maharaj is not praying to Krishna that Krishna, please save me from the onslaughts of the torture of my father. He doesn't pray like that, does he? Is he saying that Krishna, I will become a better devotee if you save me from this position? No, right? But actually, they are constantly trying to adjust their spiritual condition. Right? And you said it yourself that Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they were prime ministers in the court of Nawab Hussain Shah, but then they took a harder way of life, right? Prabhupada
Yes, Mataji.
would have very happily been in his grahastha life that a normal conditioned soul would do. That, okay, I'm now old, I'm comfortable in my life, but he took a harder way, right? So that's not adjusting the material condition. They're not trying to adjust their material well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your question though? You said something about grahastha, which I don't think I
Yeah,
understood.
Mataji, like for
We are.
further spiritual growth, or like where exactly we lies, Mataji, like what we are doing, like we are adjusting, we are not changing, or we are like the practice we are doing, so where exactly it stands, Mataji. Like we
So
are.
this is sadhana bhakti, right? It's not like bhava bhakti or prema bhakti. It's different.
Mhm.
This is sadhana bhakti. So if somebody is practicing Krishna consciousness and they are married, they have children, they have work, they have a house to take care. So that's what I'm saying. That is a checkpoint. That am I trying to become more and more Krishna conscious in whatever situation I'm placed in right now? See, one devotee, I think I told this before, told very nice thing that if you surrender to the plan of Krishna, then Krishna will reveal his plan more and more and more. Say, we are not trying to we are not trying to over endeavor, or even if we are trying to over endeavor in our material situation, it is only so that I can become more and more Krishna conscious. Like Prabhupada gives example of his disciple Sarup Damodar Goswami. Like Sarup Damodar Goswami, he was a PhD in chemistry. He was actually only disciple at some point in Prabhupada's propagation of ISKCON who was educated. Everyone else was college dropout or school dropout or drug addict in the past or what, right? In America. So Damodar Goswami was a PhD in chemistry from California, and Prabhupada wanted him to start Mayapur Institute in Kolkata. He was from East India. And Prabhupada talks about him in his lecture that Swarup Damodar Goswami was seated uh, in the award show where the Nobel Prize was given to the discoverer of life comes from chemicals. You have heard of Prabhupada's lecture there? That life comes from chemicals. So this particular scientist who discovered this phenomena that life comes from chemicals was given Nobel Prize, and Sir Damodar Goswami was present in that award show. So he asked in that assembly, Prabhupada says to this particular scientist that, okay, if you claim that the life comes from chemicals, so if I give you the chemicals, if I give you the circumstances, are you sure you will create a life? And then the person who was a discoverer of this theory of origin of life said, I am not so sure about it. But he's getting the Nobel Prize. So Prabhupada what am I trying to say here? Prabhupada is saying that we are constantly trying to adjust our position in a way that we become more and more Krishna conscious. Yes, if it means changing the ashram, change it. But it does not always mean changing the ashram.
Okay, Mataji. Mhm.
I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, yes, Mataji. A little confusion was there, so now it's clear. Yeah.
Yeah.